So Invocation says settings related to action invocation. So here we have a speed parameter. It says value that is added to the character's agility when determining action order. So this is kind of like what we saw in the traits section when we were looking at the actors. It says this allows you to create actions that are powerful but take a long time to perform. I would think it would allow you to do the opposite thing too, where you could create actions that were fast to perform, maybe, because yeah, you can go into the negatives even with this. So if you wanted maybe a specific skill that's particularly quick to execute or that sort of thing, you could do that. Or like they said in the example, you could make it take longer to before they can do it, but maybe it does more damage or that sort of thing. Your success chance here, I'm guessing, probability that the use of the action succeeds. Yeah, so if you want your attacks to 100% go through, they may miss or whatever, but the success rate versus a failure rate, like, oh, you failed to attack, or that sort of thing. Which that's kind of a weird thing for an attack. You probably wouldn't do it that way, but like for some of your abilities, like, oh, maybe heal, like maybe, oh, it failed. That'd be kind of rough putting it on a heal skill, but you get the idea. You could make it so there's a 50% chance, 75% chance, 90% chance, whatever. So if you want something like really, really powerful, but maybe it only has like a 15% chance of working, it's like a risk reward kind of ability, you could set that up with that. The number of times that it repeats, that's the number of times the effect is applied to the target. So this is one way you could do a double attack if you wanted, but they've already got that put together here with like double attack, triple attack, that sort of thing. But it would be potentially useful for if you wanted to make something that, maybe it's a heal spell that instead of working on, all your allies, it could be, one ally, like 2 different times or something, or I don't know. There's ways you could put that to good use. And so TP gain here, it says amount of TP the user gains per hit. So that's kind of the difference between magic points and tech points, or technical points, I don't know, whatever they're called, is that there are, it's kind of like some games will call it like a rage meter or like a berserk status or whatever, but like this way that it has the gain, so you could have like every basic attack would gain say 10 tech points or whatever. So with magic points, the idea is like you start out full, and then as you use spells and stuff, they go down and down and down, and then eventually you can't use any more spells because you ran out of magic points, and then you have to have some way to refill the magic points, like buy an item, or maybe like resting to recover your characters 100% of the way, or full recovery or whatever. But with the TP tech points, whatever, they start off at basically 0, and then you build them up gradually. So you can have the other actions like attack or even guard if you wanted. Like that might be a good way to incentivize players to actually use the guard function, is like make it so they gain a lot of TP when they do it or something, and that sort of thing. So they can go through and they'll be able to gain and accrue more tech points to use for those other abilities. So maybe like triple attack, say it costs like, I don't know, 30 TP, so like you'd have to do 3 basic attacks before you could use triple attack, or that sort of thing. And then you can set that sort of thing up with the whole TP system and stuff. So it's kind of interesting because you've got 2 totally separate mechanics to use different skills and stuff in your game. So and of course you could set that to 0 if you don't want it to gain any TP from a basic attack, and which that's up to you how you want to handle that for your game too. So here we have hit type. It says the method for determining a hit. So we have certain hit, which treats a successful use of the action as a hit. So that's like it absolutely hits. Physical attack says determines hits based on the user's hit rate and the target's evasion rate. So we'll see that when we get into the stats a little bit more and things. But actually we might have seen it a little bit. No, just not really there. Okay. But anyway, it'll determine that based on the character stats and the enemy stats and things. And same with the magical attacks. It's determine hits based on the target's magic evasion rate. So if you have an enemy that's like really hard to hit with magic or really hard to hit with physical attacks, then setting it to physical attack or magical attack, that will determine that. And if you want one that's just going to hit no matter what, and you don't want to deal with the physical attack and magical attack calculations and all that, then you just do certain hit, and then it'll hit. So the animation here, this is a whole section, animations, that we'll get into. And that's kind of different between each RPG Maker iteration. It seems like they changed the animation system pretty frequently, but anyway, we'll get into that later. But it says the animation displayed for the target when using the action in battle. So there's a bunch by default that are that built into RPG Maker where they already have it, and you can see it's a pretty long list where they've already made animations for you that you can use. And if you like those and you don't want to mess with animations, then you can do that. But otherwise, you can make your own and stuff, and we'll go into that. But you can set which one you want it to be. Since this is a normal attack, you can do the normal attack one. But you also have, physical hits, ice hits, thunder hits, and we'll see all that. But this is where you set what this attack looks like on the screen when you do it. So. And then here, this message pane here says fixed phrase displayed as a message when using the skill in battle. So just by default, it says username at the start, and then you can say they attack, they cast, they do something, they use something, and you can change that however you like. So if you want to use a more custom message, you can definitely do that. Otherwise, you can just leave them at the default if you like. And then required weapon. So here you can set weapon types required to use the skill. For example, this is used to prevent the selection of a sword skill unless a sword is equipped. So that's pretty much what those do, and you can do 2 different types if you want.